The 2024 Rogue Invitational from Aberdeen, Scotland continues at P&J Live as we are set for the women to take the floor for their opening event in the CrossFit competition. Thanks for being with us, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland alongside Adrian Conway. Kiki Dixon is down on the competition floor. And event one is Quicksand, presented by GoRuck.
Quicksand it is, Sean. Athletes are running with a little bit of less pep in their step, at least to start, and then we've seen a lot to finish. But this event specifically is going to be 10 rounds of a sandbag carry into a 400-meter run. And the caveat to all that is that they're going to be using the sandbags here in different ways, meaning that they're literally going to be getting to choose which one they exit the stadium with or move from the other end of the floor each time. And that we've seen play out in different ways.
20 women will be in the field here for this Rogue Invitational. First time it's been held outside the United States. It's the sixth time we have held the Invitational as Haley Adams takes the floor. She's making her first appearance here since 2021. Tia Toomey and Laura Horvath, they are the only two women to win this competition. Toomey has won 3, Horvath has won 2. Haley Adams mentioned her back in competition here at the first time since 2021. This is an event that she could do very well at. Also be keeping an eye on Taylor Williamson, an athlete who was great in the team competition, won those affiliate cups with CrossFit Mayhem, and making an individual appearance here in Aberdeen, Scotland. Your lane assignments for this first of 2 heats. Keep an eye on Haley Adams. She's in lane 6, right in the middle of the floor. So all the women pretty much grabbing that big cylindrical bag. And they will head out for their first 400-meter run. First 5 rounds are going to be performed with that 20-pound ruck, and then they get to shed that thing for round 6 through 10. Sydney Wells, Taylor Williamson, and Emma Tall. First 3 women out.
Yeah, and I think we've learned a few things from watching the men execute this event already once, Sean, which is it really doesn't matter how you start. It's all about how you finish. These first 5 rounds can almost act as a trap in a way, getting the best of all of your energy and all of your excitement to be here, and then can really bite you later if you haven't paced accordingly.
There's Dana Perrin making her first appearance at the Rogue Invitational.
Dana was specifically excited for event 1 to really test some things that she's been working on between her and her coach, and clearly she's extremely excited to be here, but was really looking forward to kind of see how these longer time domains and specifically running has been going for her.
Sydney Wells and Maddie Sturt making the turn back into the building.
Yeah, and we still got, I mean, you mentioned Haley Adams, Sean, in this as we kind of led up to this, and she's someone that historically has just performed at an extremely high level when we have high volumes of running in a particular event. And so we like this for Haley, especially it being her first time back on the competition floor in a high level. Of course, we saw her at the CrossFit Games with the B back here at Rogue. It's amazing. You know, she's a big Star Wars fan. Is this a essence of Return of the Jedi? Are you getting Return of the Jedi vibes?
Possibly. I could see that.
Even what we noticed from Haley there, we see her in lane 6. She seems to be opting to pick up the heavier objects early, Sean. I think that might present her trouble later. And because she has a natural strength to running, a lot like we just saw from Ricky, a lot like we just saw from Sam Cornway, that the athletes that were able to finish fast on the run, she could be setting herself up for a very expedited trip to the front of this line towards the latter part of the event.
Sydney Wells, she and her twin sister Brooke competing here. Brooke will be in the second heat. But Sydney is out front right now ahead of Maddie Sturt and Manon Anganez. Emma Tall's in fourth. Haley Adams starting to creep up a little bit. Paige Semendez up there as well. here in round 2 of 10.
Everyone trying to stay as composed as possible. 20 extra pounds in that ruck for the women. Again, being able to navigate that in a wise way is hard when you are very high on emotion and want to get this weekend started. But it's important because that weight can often lead to what we categorize as like flat contractions. I mean, you feel like you want to run with power once you drop it, but if you run too hard while you're weighted, you just don't have the juice in the final kick.
Haley Adams has now moved to the front here on this portion of the run, but as we've mentioned before, they need to come back into the building and then return to their lanes. Adams is in the middle of the floor. Sydney Wells is down at the farther end, so right now it looks like Adams is going to make that turn ahead of Sydney Wells as we are now into round number 3.
Let's see what these women opt to pick up. Again, strategy has come into play for several of the athletes on the men's side that we watched already today. Will they choose to go heavier here in these middle rounds, or will they choose the quicker transitions to get back out and start the run again? A couple things that we are focusing on, especially when it comes to keys to this event, are the pick your poison aspect. And that's what I just mentioned with athletes being able to choose the weight, the size, and the shape of the sandbag that they navigate to the opposite end of the floor. And then, of course, the strongman shuffle, which we're kind of watching right now. It's the loaded aspect of this run. Are they making wise choices in conserving appropriate energy for the final 5 rounds?
It's Adams, Semenza, and Manon Anganese were the first 3 women through that third sandbag carry now as they close out round number 3. First 5 rounds are with that 20-pound ruck. And now Haley Adams is starting to separate herself from the pack as Sydney Wells is out there with Paige Semenza. But remember, Wells was closer to the exit than was Semenza on this run. So likely that Semenza is ahead of Sydney Wells here.
Wells with a background in track and field. Semenza with a very diverse background in many sports. Both of these women fare well when it comes to running.
Yeah, Semenza was a collegiate hockey player at Ohio State University. Tied for the team lead her senior season with 13 goals.
Plenty of dry land training and preparation for those goals, I'm sure, all year, which prepares her for events just like this too.
First of 2 heats for the women, and it's Haley Adams out front early. Closing out round number 3. So 2 more rounds with that 20-pound ruck as Sydney Wells and Paige Semenza are behind her, followed by Emma Tall.
Strong lead early for Haley. Again, we've seen this before. We saw Jay Crouch. We saw Jeff Adler. Both enter the stadium several times with a significant lead. They've just got to stay the course. Haley with what looked like almost a sumo deadlift high pull into that front rack belly position there to move that jerry can.
Now out for her 4th 400-meter run. As you can see the weights on these bags, the bottom left-hand part of your screen going from 40 pounds all the way up to 150 pounds. Sydney Wells and Paige Semenza still in the top 3 as Taylor Williamson's working her way into the arena.
Taylor Williamson, another athlete that we've got to keep our eye on, Sean. It's a first-time rookie individual competition appearance here at the Rogue Invitational, but she competed the one time there were teams here, and her team won. She won the CrossFit Games twice with a team that's pretty well known, Team Mayhem, and she is one of the fittest women to do it. I'm excited to watch her through her individual debut here.
Haley Adams with a good lead over Sydney Wells and Paige Semenza. Emma Tall now just making the turn. Manon Anganese is back there as well.
Some of these things that we'll notice in the athlete's stride or cadence with the ruck on that differs from their normal stride is that it'll be a little shorter, a little bit more choppy. They don't want to overstride and build a ton of fatigue in the legs. They almost want to try to fall forward and increase their stride frequency, which means more steps, but keep them shorter, and then they can open up their stride and move a little bit faster once they get to drop that ruck in the latter rounds.
Haley Adams is getting ready to ditch that ruck after this final carry. And now she's into round 5.
Small things like that anticipation of just loosening that waist strap on her ruck. Really already thinking ahead for what bag's going to be next, and then also how she's going to take that thing off as quickly as she can to get out that door.
And the ruck is off for Haley Adams.
Smooth.
She has 5 bags left. Now Paige Semenza is going to be the second woman out behind Haley Adams.
Okay, here comes Emma Tall making a move on Sydney Wells.
Haley Adams taking a turn to just, I think, wave at Paige Semenza.
And a wave and a little smile.
Maddie Sturt back there in the longer black shorts, Manon Anganese in the long gray pants on the return trip on this 400-meter run.
Looks like Paige starting to create a little bit more separation between her and Sydney.
Haley Adams through 5 rounds, now in the back half of the event, and all by herself in the lead here.
Haley taking that break from competition for a year, coming back very refreshed, very hungry. Seems to be enjoying it in a whole different way than she ever did coming up through the space as a teen competitor and even through her young adult years as a first-time CrossFit Games athlete. Fitter than ever.
Having no trouble with that. I believe 100-pound bag, making quick work of it. It's got to get in that drop zone, and now she will head out to close out round number 6. There's a good battle behind her right now. Now, Paige Semenza currently sits in second place. Emma Tall is right behind her, and Sydney Wells is in the mix also. So Maddie Sturt also trying to hang close.
Yeah, Maddie really closed the gap on those 3 women that are looking like they're in second, third, and fourth right now in that last round. So she's putting herself in a good spot to contend for one of the top ones in this heat. We saw how much things can change in the final 2 rounds in almost every way, not just even at the top of each heat, but even down through the middle. A lot of places were exchanged on the men's side in both of the first 2 heats today.
Emma Tall is in front now of Paige Semenza. Semenza's lane is, though, closer to the entrance. Now Sydney Wells is moving past Paige Semenza as Haley Adams is back inside to start round number 7.
7 and 8, Sean. 7 and 8 to me as a competitor are some of the harder rounds when it comes to psychologically or emotionally taxing. You're not quite there over the hump. You're not quite there on the final 2 rounds to stretch, and you still got to grind through those runs, hold your pace. It's very uncomfortable. Again, what we're seeing from these athletes, they're making it look easy, and it's not. They do a great job at hiding the pain and discomfort that they're all living through and actually thriving through right now, as we see Haley just making slight work of this jerry can. But that's why they're pros. That's why they do what they do.
Maddie Sturt, Emma Tall, Paige Semenza, and Sydney Wells grouped very closely in that battle for second place behind Haley Adams. Now Emma Tall has moved into second with Paige Semenza in third, but both of them are about 25 seconds back of Haley Adams right now. And it's likely that lead will only widen now that Haley Adams doesn't have that 20-pound ruck on her back.
Yeah, you could almost see it. I mean, and you can see it in a lot of the women's stride right now, but we talked about, hey, it's a little bit shorter and choppier with the ruck. They're clearly starting to open up now as they have that hindsight, or I'm sorry, the end is near. They can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. Haley's stride a little longer, a little more open, and she's not breathing any more labored, so she's very composed, very relaxed. Just actually picking athletes off, lapping them, in fact.
Just lapped Taylor Williamson. And Adams ready to close out her 7th of 10 rounds here. First of 2 heats for the women. Now round 8 for Haley Adams.
Yep. And this is where, I mean, it's nice to get a push from the crowd. Of course, you hear the encouragement. Everybody's behind her, but it's one of those things that helps you keep urgency, because this is where it gets easy as an athlete to think, okay, hey, I can coast now. I've got a significant lead. And not that anyone's in threatening position for these points, but Haley also understands. She's been around long enough to know, Sean, everyone that's sitting on the side, the next 10 women waiting to take the floor, just waiting to see her time to beat.
Yeah, Adams has done well here at the Rogue Invitational. Her only 2 appearances came in 2020. That was the virtual year. In 2021, she was 8th in 2020, 5th in 2021. And now into round number 8. Emma Tall continues to lead Paige Semenza and Maddie Sturt for second place in this heat. Now, Sydney Wells at the top of your screen, making her way back to the bag. So Tall still sits in second place in heat number 1.
Yeah, that was a great in and out there by Tall. Very fast work of the transition with the sandbag in and out. And now you notice Maddie Sturt's pace has quickened. Paige Semenza on her heels. There goes Sydney Wells. We see Taylor Williamson, but she's a round behind.
It's a 25-second lead right now for Haley Adams.
Yeah, she doesn't, at this point, she can forget about the rest of the competitors in this heat, and she's really got to do her job at foreseeing what the other women are going to be capable of that are watching her time get set. The thresholds they'll be able to keep, and then, of course, she's fighting for every point available as she can to start the weekend.
Adams back in to close out round number 8. 2 rounds remain for her. She looks to pick up a heat win here. 17 minutes gone by. Final 2 bags for Haley Adams. That one's 75 pounds. Again, it's by any means necessary. There's a drag strap on that too. Yep. If she felt like pulling it, she could do that as well.
Yeah.
But choosing just to hold that thing in a bear hug and get it over the finish line.
Not even opting to shoulder it, which also shows you the composure that she has this late in the event, because to pull that thing and pin it against your chest and your belly as you're trying to breathe, That's not the easiest choice. She could have easily gotten it to her shoulder, but she would rather get her feet moving to cover positive ground first, deal with the discomfort of breathing, and get on her way into these final two 400s. Just cruising. That's a good feeling there. When you're leading the pack by that much.
We forget how young Haley Adams is. I mean, she's been in the sport for so long. She's only 23 years old. She first burst onto the competitive scene in 2016 as a teenager in the 14 to 15-year-old division when she took second place. Then in the 16 to 17-year-old division in 2017 and 2018, she took a second and a first. And every time she's been at the games, she's never finished lower than ninth as an individual.
Yeah, top 10. Top 10 every time in her career. It's amazing what she's been able to accomplish so early and at such a young age. And she's learned a tremendous amount. I mean, that's even due to her taking a year off and just a year away to recharge and ignite her passion for the sport. Man, I'll never forget the first time I met her, Sean. We shared a sponsor, and we had this photo shoot that was going on. She shared with me that she got second at the CrossFit Games, and I saw how devoted she was to the process, the training, the maturation that she had as a young teen athlete. And it blew me away, honestly. I compared her when she was very young to a younger Annie Thorisdottir. And, I mean, look at the career that she's building right now.
The final bag for Haley Adams in one last 400-meter run.
Dominating this quicksand event here, the Rogue Invitational event #1 heads out for her final 400-meter run.
We'll keep an eye on that battle for second behind her, as Emma Tall was the leader in that. She's trying to hang on to that spot ahead of Paige Semenza. And Maddie Sturt now has moved past Semenza and is putting pressure on Tall for second place. Maddie Sturt on the far left side of your screen, just passed out of view as Paige Semenza is back for the final time to pick up her last bag.
Yeah, and this is where the race is going to be. Can Maddie Sturt close that gap on Emma Tall? Did Emma do her job at creating enough of a gap? Because the writing's on the wall where Haley's going to finish, at least within this heat.
Still one heat remains after this. But Haley Adams' time right now is going to be a tough one to beat. And now all Haley Adams has to do is get back to her lane and get across the finish line, and she will lock up the win here in heat number 1. It's been 3 years since we've seen Haley Adams at the Rogue Invitational. Welcome back, Haley Adams, cruising to a victory in heat number 1 across the finish line in 21:38 unofficially.
Wow. What a start for Haley. Ironically, she didn't lead the first round or two, Sean.
21:37.32 is the official time for Adams. Here comes Emma Tall to lock up second place in the heat. Maddie Sturt is going to finish third. And Paige Semenza will take fourth. Sydney Wells looking to wrap up fifth place. Wells is on the upper left-hand part of your screen. And now she's in.
Sydney Wells crossing that finish line.
But this one was not even close. Haley Adams just demolishing the rest of the field here. Danny Spiegel still has one round to go.
Athletes, you have about 2 minutes.
This is one of those events for Dani Speegle that has something that she really likes, heavy weights, and something that she hates, and that's running.
That's right, and unfortunately, it's certainly running biased. I mean, we love this as an event, right? It's mixed modal. It's not just simply go run a 4K for time, but in the essence that, yes, you can be strong, and that will pay off, but you have to be a good runner, and that's what this event is really testing, especially when it gets down to it. But yeah, this was a damage control event for Dani Speegle. She said that openly. She laughed at the event. I said, hey, do you got any plans for this? And she laughed. She LOL'd. She's like, you know how I feel about running.
Well, Manuela Anganez is now across the finish line. 27.81 seconds for her. Taylor Howell coming back in along with Taylor Williamson. And Williamson is going to work her way across the finish line after
yes,
that last bag.
One more to go for Taylor.
Well, Taylor Howell is in meanwhile. She's done. Leaves 3 women out on the course, and they're in danger of getting time capped.
Yeah, 40 seconds to that time cap. Fighting for every rep here. We'll see if Speegle can make it.
Spiegel's in. Should have enough time to get across the finish line. A great late charge from Dani Speegle. As you mentioned, a damage control event for her, and she will finish inside that 25-minute time cap. Perrin and Williamson are going to get capped. "21 minutes, 37.32 seconds for Haley Adams, just smashing the competition as Taylor Williamson did not finish her final 400-meter run.
She's back.
Just about a perfect run for Haley Adams, who led from the start.
Yeah, you know what was interesting, Sean? It was almost perfect. Aside from, she was the only one to really start with some heavy bags early, and it forced her into round 3 to just make a subtle charge there towards the front of the pack. But literally, once that happened, she made that step right in front of second and third place, and then just continued to accelerate and pull away. We knew that she was favored in running events. She's got a great history of them, and she put that on display here in quicksand.
A heat win for Haley Adams, and we'll see if it will stand as we get the floor reset for heat number 2. 21:37.32 seconds. Haley Adams, the only woman to go sub-22, and she beats Emma Tall by nearly 30 seconds. Maddie Sturt finishes in 3rd place in the heat. Paige Semenza and Sydney Wells are 4th and 5th. Williamson and Perrin, the only 2 women to not finish inside the 25-minute time cap. Well, heat number 2 is coming up next, and it will feature the 2 women who have won this competition. Tia Toomey with 3 championships, Laura Horvath with 2. And just look at the resumes that these 2 have put together. And between the 2 of them, they have 19 event wins.
Oh, yeah.
At the Rogue Invitational.
Oh, my goodness. These 2 alone give everyone their money's worth and their time's worth, whether you're here in person or you're tuning in with us on the stream. It's like, in this matchup specifically this year, Sean, Laura's got something to prove. She's the reigning champ. But is there an asterisk by last year? Was Tia too close to being postpartum, just getting back into shape? That's what people are saying. So I can't go without mentioning, Laura's going to feel like she's got something to prove when she takes this floor this year. I can't wait to watch. We have
not seen these 2 go head-to-head in a year. The last time was at the Rogue Invitational. Laura Horvath got the best of that battle, although it was close. Event number 1 for the women is presented by GoRuck. It is quicksand, and strategy comes into play here because there is no prescribed order in which you need to transport those bags to the drop zone.
That's right. It's 10 rounds, and they're going to run 400 meters, yes, but they're going to move the 10 bags to the opposite end of the stadium, and they can do it in whatever order they want. We've seen it bite some people in the butt on those final 5 rounds, and we see the just title, quicksand. It's like their legs are running in quicksand.
10 more women will be out on the competition floor for this second of 2 heats. There is Laura Horvath, your defending Rogue Invitational champion. She will be right in the middle of the floor next to Tia Toomey. A couple other women here who could probably have a say in who wins this event. That's Emily Rolfe. She's down in lane number 1, and Gabby McGowan in lane 7.
Man, both historically great runners, honestly, in this sport. Rolfe, great with load, great with massing distances. McGowan coming off of a great season, finishing 2nd at the CrossFit Games. We're going to have a great race.
The second of 2 heats is underway. Haley Adams has the time to beat at 21:37.32 seconds.
Representing all corners of the world, having introduced you to these women now. Lane number 1, Emily Rolfe.
All right.
We mentioned both Emily Rolfe and Gabby McGowan. They have had similar success in events just like this.
Yeah, that's right, and that's why we bring them up. I mean, we see their history. We understand where it's at. I mean, Gabby seems to be on an absolute tear when it comes to building momentum. She had a great showing last year through the CrossFit season at semifinals and through the CrossFit Games. She shared publicly she's had an amazing offseason thus far in preparation for specifically the Rogue Invitational, so we have high expectations for what she can show. And then even on the other hand, where we mentioned Emily Rolfe, I mean, again, history shows itself very well for her with long events, specifically when it comes to running. And now you throw in a little bit of loading with the sandbags and the ruck, and I think that she's going to be able to put on a really powerful performance as well.
Gabby McGowan is making her 4th appearance at the Rogue Invitational. She has done very well in this competition. Finished on the podium in 2021, and then a 5th and the 4th the other 2 times that she was here. And coming off a 2nd place finish at the CrossFit Games. McGowan followed by Tia Toomey, Laura Horvath, and Emily Rolfe. Emma McQuaid back there along with Ariel Lowen. And Brooke Wells and Danielle Brandon is in that pack. Now into round number 2.
Yeah,
much tighter here in heat number 2 than heat 1, where we just saw Haley Adams absolutely run away with it. Now, Toomey is the first woman to make the turn. McGowan is right behind her, followed by Rolfe at the bottom of your screen, and in the all black in the middle, Laura Horvath, the defending Rogue Invitational champion. McGowan and Toomey back out for the 2nd time on the 400-meter course. Horvath and Rolfe are done as well.
And something we're noticing, even as you watch McGowan and Tia out there as leaders in the front, you can see that there's slight differences from, one, how they run. McGowan opening up her stride just a touch more. Tia almost taking 2 times the amount of strides to cover the same distance as McGowan. Shorter, choppier steps. Tia even wearing her ruck just a touch looser. Now, I don't know if that's intentional or if that's just how she put it on, but it might be that it helps her breathe a little bit more. She'd rather have it, the slight bob than to have it compressed against her chest in the front there. So I love to watch the different strategies and see how they play out for all these athletes as we watch the event unfold.
McGowan and Toomey, followed by Rolfe and Horvath. 2nd of these 10 400-meter runs that they have to perform after every sandbag carry. And those sandbags vary in weight.
Tia making sure she does not take any extra steps. I mean, she darn near ran right into those guys standing at the end of that fence, just ducking underneath them. And I wonder if it's intentional, too. We know what kind of capacity that the champ has. And when I say that term, I'm talking about Tia-Clair Toomey. And she's intentionally letting Gabby lead here. She literally seems to be choosing, like, I don't want to lead these first couple rounds. I'm going to let her dictate the pace. I'm going to stay right here where I'm comfortable. in position to make a move when I'm prepared to do so.
2 rounds down into round number 3. It's Magawa and Toomey leading early here, followed by Horvath and Emily Rolfe. But Toomey has the closer lane, so she'll make the turn just ahead of Magawa. Rolfe is now past Horvath for 3rd. But still pretty tight amongst the top 4 women. And now a drop for Tia Toomey on that bag, and that allows Gabby Magawa to overtake her for first place, and Laura Horvath is now right on her heels.
Yes, interestingly enough, too, I recall Sean Texas Heavy just a year ago. Laura coming out real hot, almost leading the way early and then faltering a little bit more late. Now, it wasn't a bad finish for her. I believe it was about a 5th place overall, which was still good on a running event. But right here, she seems to be coming out a touch more composed, staying within striking distance, and hopefully setting herself up even for a move late to stay close to Tia and Gabby. Rolfe just a couple seconds behind Horvath there. She makes the turn.
Rolfe is going to be real dangerous when she gets that ruck off.
Yep.
You can see Laura Horvath, 2-time champion. She's finished 4th, 5th, and 19th in the other 3 appearances that she's made here at the Rogue Invitational. It's her 6th time at this competition. She's competed in every single one. And now Tia Toomey in front of Gabby Magawa on this run to close out round number 3.
Getting into this time domain, Sean, with a long workout, this is often where we see CrossFit athletes settle. And what I mean by that is that the emotion has started to leave. They're actually finding their stride where they're comfortable to sustain the meat and potatoes of this particular event. Now we're going to really start to see some things shake up or perhaps play out a little differently than we did in the first couple rounds.
Tia Toomey is back in front, but not by much. Gabby Magawa keeping with her as the 2 of them get back to the bags to open up round 4. Laura Horvath is in 3rd place now, ahead of Emily Rolfe, who's back in 4th. Round 4 of 10, Toomey and Magawa continue to lead here in this opening event. Time to beat 21:37.32 seconds, put up by Haley Adams with a dominant performance in the opening heat. That's the battle for 3rd place between Laura Horvath and Emily Rolfe.
Emily really started to increase her stride length on this particular round. Like, she's literally opening up, using her longer legs and longer limbs as an advantage here, leaning forward into her cadence. So her pace is definitely quickened. We'll see if that continues here as we enter our way, or these women start to take this final turn into the stadium.
Gabby Magawa continues to do a great job of just staying on Tia Toomey's heels, as they'll be done with round 4 once they get back into the building. And then they'll have 1 round remaining with
Now, Sean, to reference Haley's time, she dropped her ruck at 9:05.
So Toomey and Magawa ahead of that pace right now. Into round 5. Tia Toomey bear hugging that Husafel bag. Ruck is off.
All right, here we go.
And now the restrictor plates are off, and Toomey McGowan can start to open things up here. This is the biggest lead that Toomey's had so far in this event. And as you mentioned, Adrian, Toomey is ahead of Haley Adams' pace.
Yeah, and this is where Tia can really gain advantage here if she chooses to, falling forward into her strides again. Like, we just kind of watch these athletes move through space. It's easy to pick up on a couple things. You got body language, and you got the amount of effort that they're putting forth and the distance that they can travel. You want to see athletes working minimally and still gaining speed, and Tia does a great job at doing that with running. It's called efficiency in a word.
Toomey starting to lengthen that lead as Emily Rolfe has moved ahead of Horvath on this run. But the good news for Rolfe as well is that she is in lane number 1. That's the first lane that you hit when you make that turn.
And we saw this really impact all the prior heats so far. Right when you make that final turn, the distance between you and the finish line, I mean, that's why Ricky was able to edge out Jeff, so it's certainly going to play a factor.
Toomey now into round 6. And it's going to be the jerry can bag for Tia Toomey. Gabby McGowan just getting back to her bags. Emily Rolfe is in 3rd, and Laura Horvath has fallen back to 4th place. Horvath there on the left side of your screen, just passing out of view as McGowan dumps her bag and trying to close the gap between herself and Tia Toomey.
A subtle difference there, too, even when Tia picks up the weight versus a lot of the other women, is that, and Laura did a great job of it right there, I'll actually say, but it's keeping the running pace that you already established even with the load. A lot of women naturally shoulder it, and they just kind of pitter-patter their way to drop-off. Tia is very aggressive in that time, and if you do the math, and you got to do this for 10 rounds, folks, and that's a set distance every time, you can create a tremendous time gap there.
But now things starting to look similar than Heat 1. Similar to Heat 1, I should say, as Tia Toomey is starting to run away with this heat as Haley Adams did in heat number 1. But right now, Toomey is ahead of Adams' pace. Adams clocked a time at 21:37.32 seconds. Toomey through 6 of the 10 rounds.
And in Toomey fashion, she seems to be just getting stronger with each round, Sean.
Toomey back to the bags. Gabby McGowan is now solidly in 2nd place, followed by Emily Rolfe, who's put some distance between herself and Laura Horvath.
Still time though.
12:37, drop the bag.
McGowan having some troubles there. Finally gets herself sorted. As Emily Rolfe is starting to really chew into Gabby McGowan's lead right now.
Laura still, still on pace too to make a really significant time compared to Heat 1.
And right now, there are 4 women trying to take it down, 21:37, with about 2 of them within striking distance.
Brooke Wells, Danielle Brandon. Holding on. So little just.
Tia still making it look effortless. Quick strides, smooth. Plenty of power left in reserve for her legs. Did a great job through that ruck. using what we defined as the strongman shuffle.
How many times have we seen this? Tia Toomey just all by herself in front. Doesn't matter what the event is. This is just a sight we've grown accustomed to, and it's Toomey out front with no one around her.
Yeah, we really have. I mean, we've been spoiled throughout her career. I mean, 12 event wins here. This could be number 13, and it's in her all to do quite almost normal fashion.
Into round 8 for the 3-time Rogue Invitational champion.
Picking up that sandbag.
Okay. Now some perspective here as Tia has about a 10-second lead on Gabby. Is that Haley dropped that bag at 15:30. It is 14:44.
That's incredible. Now, Gabby McGowan is still in second place in this heat and still on pace to finish second place in the event.
Yep.
And here comes Laura Horvath, who is in fourth place as Emily Rolfe is back out on the run.
Yeah, they continue to hold this pace. All top 5 women in this heat have a chance to sneak in under Haley's time. Laura's really going to have to stay the course here. And what we notice clearly, I mean, that's where there's that disadvantage being in the first heat. It's a tried and true experience where no matter how hard you push, when people aren't there on your heels, you always wonder, were there a few more seconds left in me? Haley did a great job at trying to gain speed through the finish, but this is where Laura's really got to have that internal clock in her mind of the time to beat and where she's at now.
Emily Rolfe making her third appearance of the Rogue Invitational as Laura Horvath makes the turn. Tia Toomey heading back into the building. Rolfe's best finish at this competition was 15th place in 2023. Now Toomey into round 9 of 10. She continues to be well ahead of the pace of Haley Adams from heat number 1.
A little hesitation, wouldn't call it a falter there, but was able to find the proper leverage for that bag. The shape of these bags really also changes the way that you've got to find leverage to place them on your body so that you don't feel like they're going to slip off your shoulder.
I don't think we've seen any of the women use that strap to drag that bag yet.
Nope.
It doesn't matter how you get it there, but clearly hoisting it up to your shoulder and then lugging it into that box, the quickest way to get that work done.
Now Laura has seemed to lose just a touch of that pace that she's fighting to try to cling to Haley. She still has some time advantage. Haley dropped this bag around 17:37.
Laura Horvath just trying to stay inside the top 5. There are 9 events here.
And a lot like strongman. Folks that might be tuning in for the first time, it's like our sport is played in a similar fashion. We're trying to accumulate the most points possible throughout the course of this weekend. We know the nine events are looming. Athletes are simply trying to statistically perform best across all 9. That's who's going to be the champ. Now you're going to have some outliers. They're going to be able to hit some really, really big home runs or grand slams. Tia Claire Toomey's one of them. Laura Horvath another. As both of these women, who have been the only ones to win the Rogue Invitational, have done it in a very impressive fashion, racking up a lot of wins in events as they go.
Toomey now into her 10th and final round. That won't be a problem with that bag. So Gabby McGowan continues to sit in second place. She's put some distance between herself and Emily Rolfe, who is now making her way back to the bags for the final time. Now Laura Horvath is back into the building as well. As you can see her behind the Zeus rig, center left of your screen in the all black.
Haley was beginning her final run at 1944. That's that number that Laura's got to have in her mind. If she can get out on this run and finish fast, she'll have a shot at that 21:37. Tia just out in space, all alone, probably having some semblance of understanding, Sean, where she is in relation to the time to beat. Which would allow her to lay off the gas a little, right? Thinking about self-preservation, setting herself up for the next 8 tests. These are all things that as you lead an event and are trying to amass as many points as possible, you have to consider.
Final leg of this final 400-meter run for Tia Toomey. 21:37.32 seconds. Your time to beat, but not for much longer. As Toomey can just stroll her way across the finish line and pick up the event win here. 3-time Rogue Invitational champion. Finished second place last year. Won the opening event in 2023, and she's going to win the opening event in 2024. Tia Toomey takes quicksand. 100 points. 20 minutes. 33 seconds unofficially. Gabby McGowan is going to wrap up second place. A good charge by Gabby McGowan, just 11 seconds back at Tia Toomey. Now Emily Rolfe, who's just making her way onto the field, she'll be on the left side of your screen. Coming across the finish line, so Emily Rolfe is going to pick up a third place finish, third place in the heat and in the event. So now Haley Adams' time slides to fourth best, and here comes Laura Horvath.
Wow.
Who's going to pick up fourth place in the event.
Great finish for Laura there. Placing one spot better than year previous in Texas Heavy, that running dominant loaded run. I mean, getting a little bit better each year. Those are the ways that she's able to chip away at the total points throughout the weekend.
Now Brooke Wells is in, and she'll come across the finish line. Danielle Brandon will be the next woman in. Wells across, here comes Danielle Brandon. And it doesn't look like any bags are left out on the floor, so all the women here in this second and final heat are on their last round. Tia Toomey picks up her 13th career win here at the Rogue Invitational. That's out of 32 events in which she's competed. That's a .406 winning percentage.
Yeah, that's not, your chances aren't good when she's in the field, sorry.
I mean, it's nearly a coin flip. Ariel Lowen is across. That leaves Amanda Barnhart, Alex Gazan, and Emma McQuaid as the only 3 women yet to come across, and Gazan is going to be the next woman to finish.
It's always a slight flex, Sean, when you're taking photos with the fans and athletes are still grinding away on the floor.
And not even breathing heavily.
Nope. I mean, this is amazing. Alex literally just stepped across. She's in a selfie photo.
There's Amanda Barnhart. Emma McQuaid will be the final woman to finish, as all the women in this second heat will get inside that 25-minute time cap.
Wow.
And with that, event number 1 is finished. And no surprise, it's Tia Toomey with the event win. the 13th of her career at the Rogue Invitational. It was close to start, but once that ruck came off, it was pretty much over.
Yeah, it was almost like, I mean, even with a little bit of a fumble on the bag, Tia had a clear plan in mind, and that plan started by trailing slightly for the first couple rounds. I would say she hit about the 6 to 7 minute working window mark, and then she was primed, warmed, and ready to go hard, and it was hard that she went leading the charge all the way through the finish line. Lucky number 13.
And barely looks winded after that effort. 20 minutes, 31.82 seconds for Tia Toomey. Gabby McGowan closed the gap at the end to finish in second place by 11 seconds. Emily Rolfe picks up a third place finish, followed by Laura Horvath and your Heat 1 winner, Haley Adams. Let's go down to the competition floor. Kiki Dixon is with Tia Toomey.
Tia, congratulations on your 13th career event win here at the Rogue Invitational. There was a lot of chatter about what happened last year between you and Laura. You took second overall, so let's just chat about it. Do you feel like you have something to prove at all? Why or why not?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I'm the underdog, and I'm here to reclaim my crown.
All right, well, we're looking forward to that journey. Now, this event had the sandbags. You guys could choose what you wanted for each of the rounds. What had you grabbing for certain bags on each round?
Honestly, you're going to have to grab all the bags at a time, but I think I just wanted to make sure I got my ruck off before I hit the 150, and then once the legs had recovered, then I got my 150, and it was a home run.
Business as usual. All right, congratulations on your event win. Tia Claire Toomey.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tia.
Third 13th career event win at the Rogue Invitational for Tia Toomey. And I'm guessing we're probably going to see maybe 14 and 15 later on in the weekend.
Well, we can only guess and we can only assume. The statistics you shared with us earlier, Sean, it definitely cleans the slate for us to have those expectations. But what a way to get rolling this weekend. Quicksand, it was a show.
Tia Toomey, a 406 winning percentage here at the Rogue Invitational, and we are only one event in. 100 points for Tia Toomey. Haley Adams, an impressive performance for her as she's going to lock up a fifth place finish. Sam Cornway, great late charge for him to open things up here. And then how about that moment between Ricky Garrard and Jeff Adler? Plenty still to come here from the 2024 Rogue Invitational. Stay with us, everybody, as our coverage continues from Aberdeen, Scotland.